Hi, I apologize for running a few minutes late today. Hope you're all doing very well, and I hope that you received the agenda in advance. I know it's a bit lengthy, but that's because I was trying to pull information from the last meeting into this one, so we had it all in one place instead of having multiple documents. Our icebreaker today is, what is your favorite seasoning? Not season like fall, winter, spring, but seasoning. And I am definitely a black pepper person. Just give me a bottle of cracked black pepper and I'm very happy. How are you today, Sunny?
I am well, thank you. My favorite seasoning is everything bagel seasoning. I mix it into lots of different things. Faye, what about you? I'll pass off to you. You're right next to me.
I am a cilantro lover. I know the world's divided into two parts on that, but I am in the yay cilantro. Anna, how about your seasoning of choice?
Good morning, everyone. This is the first icebreaker that's actually made me nervous because I have so many different options. But I think my top one is going to be a hot sauce, but in very, very excess. Not a lot of hot sauce. A little bit. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I'm with Joanne here. I think black pepper would be at the top of my list, to the point where I actually have a hand grinder that I keep in my backpack when I'm out and about. So I think who else? Damien maybe, but he hasn't heard the prompt.
Hi, Damien. Hope you can hear us. Our icebreaker today is your favorite seasoning that to go on food. So if you happen to hear us, if you want to weigh in, please do.
Yep, I just got my volume turned up. I'm outside because I got back from vacation and got COVID, so I'm working from home. It's windy out here, so hopefully you can hear me. Yes. Let's see, favorite seasoning. That's a tough one because I use all of them. So I'd say all of them is my favorite. Garlic probably is up there, but just about everything. But
all right, sounds good. I saw Sean was on and he hopped off, so he'll probably hop on again. And Amy might be running late based on her schedule for today. So we're just going to kick it off. Anna, would you be able to share, please, the agenda for all of us? Thank you so much.
One moment. I have a million tabs open.
I'll talk a little bit about the conversations that I've had with Amy, the progress on the workforce pipeline. She's moving ahead with the training ideas. Their organization got through the first round for the RFP, which is great news. And she's focusing on summer plans. So I'll be meeting with her, I don't know if it's later this week or next week, to talk about how ECEA might be able to connect with local high schools in regard to creating that pipeline. So that was good news. I also met with the Hartford Area Tech Center to talk about the potential of a program through either their day programs or they have an adult evening program to feed into training programs, because that was the biggest concern that people had. So I'm working with Amy to try to figure out different feeder programs, and I'm catching up with Sean tomorrow, and I want to pitch to him perhaps the concept of taking the next couple of years while they are building the facility to talk about training programs that could feed into that facility. Because I know with the Hypertherm Fuji work that we did at Lebanon High School to create those internships, it took us 2 years plus to get those internships going. The handbooks, the lawyers weigh in about students being in the building and all that kind of thing. So however I can network and assist with the training, I've been focusing on that. And I don't know if Sean popped back in. So I know he gave an update recently about the ECE facility, working with architects, moving that along. And Anna let me know that she was following the legislation, and it looks like SB 221 has popped back up on the scene. And there's going to be a hearing or legislative ruling on that in early May. So coming very quickly for that in New Hampshire. So things are moving in that regard. And just a quick note, I will be attending the corporate council meeting this week. I sent out a couple of pages of overview to both Sarah K and Sarah J to review. It provides background on the current status of ECE in the Upper Valley. It talks about workforce. It talks about the 6 key areas that Joanne Conroy and Rick Mills discussed, and kind of ways that people can get involved to support ECE. So that meeting is coming up shortly. The main goal for today, with your assistance, is to help to create our new North Star. And you will see on the screen that we have 2 North Stars that we're working off of because we had 2 work groups. So there's the staff retention and recruitment North Star, which is identify, influence, and evaluate strategies that promote by-state sustainability and expansion of existing early education providers by supporting the retention and recruitment of early childhood educators and promoting fair compensation and benefits. And then, thank you so much, Anna. Could you copy and paste the facilities work group North Star under the workforce one? And that way we can pull them together. Fantastic. Thank you. Perfect. And the facilities and program was to identify, develop, and support strategies and models to reduce financial barriers such as operational costs, tax breaks, zoning requirements, etc. Connect early childhood educators to the networks, providing business-related technical assistance and capital access to optimize their business operations, lower operation costs, and increase their capacity. Identify and support opportunities for cooperative procurement of services. My question to this work group is, what components of both of these do you think would be valuable to keep? Which of them do you think we've either met or we don't want to move forward with when we are developing today our new North Star for the combined group? And I'm just going to leave that open to conversation for people to share their thoughts. And we'll capture them in the document. Do you think the first bullet is still a major focus of this group? The by-state section, supporting existing and expansion, recruitment, and fair compensation and benefits. And would you word it the same way?
I'll pop in here. I think everything in here is fine, but I think you could probably condense it. I don't know if you need, like, in my mind, to say you're going to promote the by-state sustainability and expansion of existing early education providers by supporting the retention of the workforce. Maybe you could just, maybe we could just focus on building the recruitment and retention of the workforce, since that seems to be the focus of that prior group, right? And then in terms of the infrastructure of providers, that is kind of incorporated also into the facilities and program models, you know, because those are more, how do you sustain existing centers? Anyway, just one idea.
So Anna, can you create, please, below these two, a new one that says, perfect, workforce and facilities models. Models, I can't remember what we decided on, program models, thank you. North Star. And then take the first paragraph from staff. Copy paste below, and we're going to tweak it. So what I'm hearing is identify, influence, and evaluate strategies that promote by state sustainability. Should we say specific to staff recruitment and retention? Is that what you were saying, Michael?
Let me see here. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of wordsmithing today, but we can certainly do that. Okay, first, you were saying evaluate, it says elevate. Do you mean evaluate or do you mean elevate?
I
I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. And influence, it seems to me that falls perhaps more to the advocacy work. But but maybe it signals how we intersect with the advocacy group. I don't know. I mean, I guess we can kind of talk through that, but develop is a little more active word, I guess, in my mind. So maybe I would use that. And just strategies that promote the recruitment and retention of early educators. I mean, I don't know. And then we can add something about promoting fair compensation and benefits, although in my mind, that's inherent in recruitment and retention. So again, I don't know how concise we want to be.
So I'm hearing identify. I do think we want to keep influence. I like the bridge to the advocacy part. Develop and elevate strategies that promote by state sustainability, supporting the retention and recruitment of early childhood educators. And then do we write, this includes promotion of fair compensation and benefits? Can you type that in? Yeah.
That's
So-
just adding words and meaning the same thing, I think. Michael, what I heard you saying is that you feel like that's inherent in the recruitment and retention process and doesn't necessarily need the words written out. And I'm wondering if, this sentence, we just, the first, this bullet point can actually be embedded in the facilities and program models work group North Star, like before connect early childhood educators to the network. If you want to leave in promoting fair compensation, but I think that's also part of the capital access to optimize business operations and lower,
So we'll do a period after recruitment of early childhood educators. We'll delete promoting fair compensation and benefits. Then we'll go up above and copy the paragraph starting with connect early childhood from the facilities one, paste it below, and then we'll work on that section. Also, we'll look at the first,
although I will say that wordsmithing with the small amount of people that we have here, my experience from the last time that we did the wordsmithing to create these North Stars, where we did it and then the next time we totally changed it with other people who who attended the next
Yeah,
meeting.
that happens all the time, but in order to get these done, the effort to at least have something written really shortens the amount of time when we have the second round. So to your point, Sunny, you're right. And that's what I expect. But we have 2 meetings in May, and that's why I started it kind of early. So your point is very valid. Do we want to keep the first part about to reduce financial barriers such as operation cost, tax breaks, zoning requirements, because that is part of the legislation that's part of 221, unless they took the zoning stuff out of it, which I don't know if they did or not.
Well, again, I don't want to speak too much. But I guess for me, the North Star, to keep it as concise as possible, to focus on the what, the what we want to achieve, the how we achieve it seems to me a different set of like sub bullets under the North Star. So for instance, when we're talking about recruitment and retention of the workforce, addressing compensation and benefits is a tactic of how to get to that North Star goal. So I guess in my mind, I think of this simply as, how do we ensure we can recruit and retain a high quality workforce and have sustainable providers, right? And for providers to be sustainable, addressing some of these business practices, reducing operating costs, all those other things kind of fall into the how of creating a more sustainable sector. So I guess that's how I would approach it, but that's, again, just my thoughts.
Yeah, I can go back in as long as, people have, what I'm asking for today is, are there any parts of this that people don't think we should continue to focus on, or new things that have come up since August or October that we want to add to these? And then what I can do is exactly as you suggested, is the main bullets are the top 2 with the action steps underneath.
Okay.
You said it that way, and my brain connected right with that when you said it. So are there pieces in the ever-changing world of EC, particularly with some of the legislation coming through? I think part of this I'll add into somewhere is the making sure that we stay up to date with what by state programs will be starting as well, because as part of the workforce with both the Randolph project and the Lebanon project, making sure that they have workforce supports as best as we can through the training program seems to be a bigger thing. It was a kind of a beginning conversation that Amy had with the training, and now the Lebanon one is up and running, considering Claremont, considering Henniker. I think training tends to, for me, come out as more of a forefront of a doable thing that could happen with this group. And I will just add something in there. I can pull from the document that was sent to Dartmouth about training for the pipeline under more of an action step. Okay. And if you could scroll down, I want to make sure that we're capturing the work that we've done so far. So developing the early education workforce. This talks about the training programs, the HACTC conversation I just mentioned, where students, not just Lebanon, but students would be able to earn credits and credentials during the day. HACTC also talked about an adult program. They are limited in the sense that they have to have at least 8 participants in each of those programs for it to be sustainable. So that can be a bit of a barrier. And Amy's training might be along the same lines. So I don't want to replicate work so that they shouldn't be competing with each other at all. We put the projects forward for the 6 main ideas to Dartmouth College and Dartmouth Health. Is there anything else under this major header that we've worked on that I should add under early education workforce? The meetings that people went to, like the Vermont big state meeting and the Hampshire big state meeting, those were in general efforts to support ECE, correct? And the legislation that was coming through. So it wouldn't necessarily fit under these categories because we did have people attend both. And I didn't know where they would live. Is that, I guess, under advocacy? Okay, under advocacy. And then letter B, update and maintain the by-state inventory, which is something that people asked me to share the document, and I found it, the one that Allison Chisholm had put together. So there's a link to that here. We are connecting with advocacy committee. As far as fair compensation and benefits, the work with ECA and Kimvoda, the support of Couch Foundation and UNH, the LGK RAND report, the impact, talking about the impact on new centers and staffing levels, the wages subcommittee, the Council for Thriving Children strategic plan. We've talked and looked at that. And then I also put here links and just the paragraphs to what is S56 and the basic overview, what is SB 466 in New Hampshire that passed in June. And then I put a paragraph down below about the Working Families Act, the SB 237. So those are all pieces of legislation we've talked about, not only here, but in advocacy and at the steering committee level as well. In developing an inventory, Vermont has been working on that. So I have to circle back around. I didn't have a chance to reach out to Sharon Harrington, and I will do that before our next meeting. And then strategies to retain qualified educators. So ECA has been doing a lot of work. Senate Bill 221 involving advocacy committee members. Have there been other things this work group has done to identify strategies to retain qualified educators that I was missing? And you may have done work prior to my coming in August as well. So I have that gap of time from November 21 to August 22.
So one thing that we talked about, but it never really went anywhere, is how do we begin to build public awareness about the profession as a way to connect potential candidates who, you know, might be intrinsically motivated to work with children, which is typically, you know, early educators are kind of drawn from those folks. You know, but is there a role that we could play around communications to just promote the profession, to promote it as a professional endeavor and not just daycare, right? Not just these things that are kind of offhand that tend to diminish the profession. So again, exactly what it could be or should be, I don't know, but it was something that we had talked about in the past.
So we're going to want to bring that up to the North Stars under one of those groups of the new North Star. Add that as an action step. So up toward the top under the new North Star. If we could just capture it so we don't forget. And Michael, can you repeat just the basic idea that you had?
Yeah, just building public awareness of early education as a profession, I guess, I don't, for lack of a better word, but.
And I think we could do more with our Week of the Young Child and promoting that week. It was a good start this year, first time that we were doing that, but it seems like that's a natural fit for bi-state, both governors supporting it, connecting with some of the larger organizations like New Hampshire New Futures and Sunny, what is the person's name who is like the New Hampshire AEYC, but she works through Maine? She wrote the governor the letter.
Right, don't ask me names, I'd have to, I'd have to
Um,
look up.
Jackie Furman.
It's Jackie Furman. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. I think we could possibly do some more next year with her, Rebecca Witowski, folks on the Vermont side, particularly if Let's Grow Kids is sunsetting in 2 years. We're going to need to pick up that bridge somewhere between the two states. Other thoughts about goals that this committee might want to either expand upon or add that has come up?
One thing that doesn't seem to be in there, it's kind of gets to it in the talking about reducing the financial costs, but we don't really specifically address startup costs anywhere, which is I think a big issue. The point we have on the workforce and programs is it seems to be more directed at operational costs and existing programs. But that startup cost is both the cost and the difficulty of getting the process started is something that I think needs to be addressed and put in there. I mean, there needs to be almost an incubator or something in place to help folks who are interested in starting up a center figure out how to do it and finance it and get it going in order to reduce that cost.
That's an excellent point. And I'm wondering if Dartmouth does do a program to support directors in understanding how to access grants and all of that. I wonder if there could be a side component to new people coming into the field, what you need to know, the connections and getting funding for startup costs. Like maybe there's 2 parts of support that can be given through education through Dartmouth, the startup folks and also the people who've been there quite a while. We joke a lot about wishing that we could just download each other's brains as teachers retire and like keep all their knowledge with us because it's years and years of that. So maybe having a mixture of the 2 might be nice. And there's the idea of having a conference day for all ECE providers, networking, connecting, having speakers and things like that. So the startup cost support would be great to fit into that. And that's something new that we haven't really talked about yet. So thank you for mentioning that. As we head down through the next section of our goals, I just want to make sure that I've captured work that's been done so far. Yeah, that's great. So facilitating the development of integrated network of businesses. We are connected with UVBA and Tracy has been great support and connection for us here. We talked about assistance with grant writing through ECA and the training program. There's Gopher funding that's potentially out there, and Early Learning New Hampshire providing support as well. Those are the 6 key proposed projects that got sent out to Joanne Conroy and Rick Mills Saturday when I mailed them out. So those are the key 6. And then develop a list of Vermont and New Hampshire grants. We don't have that currently. And so trying to figure out a go-to person to contact and walk them through grants, something that we need to continue to work on together. And the ECA has a document for that. We began to look into contractors, but realized that people weren't ready to do that. So we didn't follow up with that. That is part of the proposal to Dartmouth, though, is can they help people who need to find out estimated costs for a bathroom or a wall or a fence or playground equipment? The other two we've completed. Any other thoughts about the work of this group that we can really focus in on for the next couple of months from June to August? I'm thinking in having conversations that we might want to take July off because there's not a lot happening with legislation, and give people a bit of a break, but just maybe do some check-ins and then come back in August. And one of my nuts and bolts questions is that I kind of came in with the meeting schedule set. Does 12:30 to 2 for the folks that are here, and we'll ask this at the next meeting as well, on a Monday still work for everybody? Do you think to best function, this group should meet twice a month? What are your thoughts about that part of it? I know sometimes we're hit or miss based on people's jobs, and I don't know if there is a perfect time, to be honest, but I wanted to let people know I'm very open to changing this time if it's not working for folks. Something to consider. We'll circle back around at the next meeting and ask, maybe there'll be some other people can join us, and maybe they have a preference, but just know I'm completely open to that. Any other business for today? I will clean these goals up. I will look at it from also, we talk a lot about the impact model, so I'll put that information here. Anything else I can do to help this group or you individually with this work between now and the next meeting? Okay, well, I'm here if you need anything. I will work and clean this up. I appreciate everybody's time and efforts. I know doing our stars and kind of wordsmithing on the side isn't the easiest thing to do, but I also want to make sure that we capture what we have done, which is really important, and then how it's bridging into where we're going for the next year. So I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy this beautiful afternoon. Bye, Sean.
You too.
So Sean,
ya.
we're heading out, but we wordsmithed our North Star, and we talked about goals for the next meeting where we'll talk about it. I also let folks know I'm open to changing the time that we meet in case people have an interest, because I kind of came in with it. And we talked about maybe taking July off. It's a quiet time for legislators and things like that, and then regroup in August. And I will be sending everything out soon. Was there anything you wanted to add to the group?
No, just we should prepare for these hearings that I presume will occur this summer, late this summer, in regards to Senate Bill 221 and the other items that were added onto that, because it's far bigger than what Senate Bill 221 was. And we should be prepared for that. It's going to the House tomorrow to hopefully concur with the Senate version of it, changing into a study committee. I suspect that will occur, but then we need to be prepared for that piece. And that's where advocacy really is going to be important, to ramp them up and work with them to make the case in front of that committee.
So if we set that up in May and June, nothing really happens in July, and then everything big happens in August. So we can wrap it up in July.
It'll be up to the chairperson of that committee that's going to be running that. They may appoint Senator Prentice that, but it'll be up to whoever it is, the chairperson, to get that scheduled and how they're going to run that business. So they could start early. They have to report by November back to the full Senate and House. So usually they're later on in the summer, but it all depends on who's running it.
It's great to know. Okay. Thank you for adding that. Appreciate it. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.